Welcome everyone to the last episode of We Built This White Lake. My name is Stephanie Ware, Executive Director with the White Lake Area Chamber and Visitors Bureau. I'm super excited today. It's going to be a little bit of a different podcast. Over the last 5 seasons, we've gone through the history of several of the businesses in our community, but today we're going to look at kind of the business climate of where it's been in our community over the years and where we think it's headed. And I'm excited to have with me today Brent with CatchMark Technologies and Erin Peyer with the Arts Council of White Lake. So I will let you guys both just introduce yourselves and say a little bit about yourselves.
Go ahead, Erin.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
So my name is Erin Peyer. Like Stephanie said, I'm the director of the Arts Council of White Lake. I've been with the Arts Council for 6 years, and I've lived in Michigan for 8 years. Yeah.
My name is Brent Raeth. I'm the managing partner, founder of CatchMark Technologies. I've in and out of Michigan for the last 48 years. I was born and raised here. I graduated from Montague High School, left to go into the service, lived overseas, ended up back here. I've been with CatchMark since the beginning. It's about 15 years now. Probably about 6 or 7 of that we've had a presence in the White Lake area.
And we're going to get in, but I should also mention, because this is important as to why I think you guys are so good at speaking to this and your involvement in the community, is Brent Raeth is currently our board chair for the Chamber of Commerce, and then Erin has been our vice chair and is our incoming chair in 2026.
Yay!
Hey, there's still how many days left?
There is. Well, you said 15 yesterday, so is it 14 now?
Maybe we might be.
Wait, it's the 17th or 18th. So
there's 18. Some holidays in there. It's fine. So I guess actually I already took the first one, but maybe, I know for you, okay, we'll just do both of you. This is going to be easier. Tell us both about your connection to the White Lake area. I know you've mentioned you've already moved here, but tell us both about your connection here. What maybe brought you here or what kept you here?
So I grew up in Wisconsin, but I met my now husband, RJ Nordland, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and he wanted to move back to Montague. He's a Montague grad. He wanted to move back to open North Grove Brewers. So at that point in my life, I was ready to make a change, and so I came with him, and now I'm here.
So, I mean, as I mentioned, my connection is fairly long. I grew up here. I spent my whole childhood trying to leave. Small town, just pigeonholed. You want to get out, you want to do different things. And then I spent another 12 or 13 years trying to figure out how to get back, especially when we start having kids, because I think it's a pretty wonderful place that sometimes you don't appreciate until you leave. And so that's my connection. I mean, familial, my grandpa taught at Montague High School for about 36 years, ran the FFA program, and my whole family's kind of embedded in this area, and my dad's family's from Shelby area, so a lot of roots here.
It is a wonderful place. I guess you could call it maybe
magical.
It might be magical.
I stole it from you. I went quick. See that?
How has your perspective of the community been shaped by your role specifically?
I mean, the Arts Council is a nonprofit, right? So we are very involved in the community and also dependent on the community, and we certainly work a lot with the businesses in the area to make a lot of the programming that we have happen. What was the question?
How has your perspective on the business community been shaped by your role?
Okay. I don't know.
Well, I guess I can start. I mean, my perspective is, I was actually, as we started doing more work here, I was actually a little surprised. There's some medium-sized businesses here that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that's done even outside the downtown. I think when you say business, a lot of times everybody thinks Pickens or, downtown areas in Montague, Whitehall, right? Like North Grove or restaurants or Book Nook, like those types of things. But there are some cool things being done, right? I mean, there's some manufacturing businesses in both of our industrial parks. There's some cool stuff. So I think I was under the assumption that we were very much retail and very much small. And having been here a little bit longer, I think you realize we're doing some cool stuff, and there's some cool businesses here that not a lot of people may know about, actually. So that's, I guess, how it's been changed based on the role and just being in more in the community.
So when you think about the White Lake business community, what stands out to you as uniquely ours compared to other places?
I was thinking about how you have Montague and Whitehall, those twin sister cities, and how you, I don't know, I guess balance those things or try to work with both sides of the bridge to make sure everybody's involved and feels represented.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Erin. I think that's unique kind of to Montague and Whitehall. I mean, I'm sure there's other communities that are like that. I mean, whenever Twin Cities is said, I think Minnesota, right? But at a much smaller level, there's that the two different sides of the bridge, I guess, and making sure that they're kept together. On the same token, I always tell the story about my wife's from Boise, Idaho, so she didn't grow up here. And the first time we came back, my parents lived in Whitehall. I grew up in Montague, and we were driving across the bridge, and I said, well, now we're going into Montague, and I made the joke, the good side of town, because I'm a wildcat, right, at heart. And she looked at me and said, you guys are all crazy, right? She goes, this is one community. And so I don't know that we always look at it like that, but I think that that's really truly who we are, right? And you're seeing more and more of that. Growing up here, when I was a kid, it was I think the lines were even more defined, but you just have more and more White Lake Chamber, White Lake Arts Council, right? Like White Lake Eagles. It is one community, right? And so I think that makes us unique in a sense, but also adds to maybe some of the charm.
What is something about our local businesses ecosystem that people might not realize until they're involved in it?
That's kind of a tricky one. I would start and say, I think maybe they realize it, but I don't think that locals always get it quite as much as they could. We have some wonderful restaurants. We have some wonderful businesses that really thrive when the tourism is high. They need to be supported through the winter. And I think that, having grown up here, there's a lot of locals that, I don't want to say the word, and maybe this can be cut out because I don't want to offend anybody. We're a little cheap and we'll go to, maybe avoid that. We need to support those, or they won't be here, or they won't be available. And so I think that that's something that I think people kind of realize it, but I don't know that they understand the drop off or the impact as our tourists leave, and just how much business comes in from that, and that weird kind of dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that I was thinking about is just, again, from the nonprofit side of things, how many of our businesses support the local nonprofits. And you see that like on the chamber events, who the sponsors are, our events, and it's just really nice to see that community spirit from the businesses.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
That's true. I think it's kind of in the DNA of the business community that if you're going to be a business in the White Lake area, you almost need to be that team player to support other businesses, because be that good neighbor, because that's what they all do.
Yeah,
I can't imagine if you don't do that, how well you would do, because I mean, really you see such a good cohesiveness in that.
Yeah, for sure.
So Brent, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what did businesses in the White Lake area look like?
I mean, I think pretty similar to what they look like today. There's one thing that, we don't change fast, I think, here. And my wife always jokes around that, I talk about growing up, and, I was kind of an 80s, 90s kid, right? And she's like, you were actually probably more just 80s, because back then, this area was about 10 years behind where everybody else was, right? I mean, I didn't have cable television. I had a party phone line until I was probably 13, 14 years old, right? So there was a little bit of lag. I remember going away to college and being like, holy cow, I can have cable and internet, and like, it's pretty crazy. But I think that, overall, the business community stayed pretty steady, pretty present and engaged. I like to see what's happening with the addition of Aldi's and filling in some of these areas that maybe had lost anchor businesses or some of that stuff. So that's really good to see. Seeing some new, restaurants and establishments come into play, I think are good. So yeah, I mean that pretty much that's what I see. And again, tourism seems like it grows every year, which is good, especially post-COVID. I think that's always good too. So yeah.
Erin, what kind of businesses or traditions define the community when you first came here and got involved?
Some weird things that we do. I was like, what are they doing?
Traditions. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of like a lot of chamber events, like the Holiday Walk or Pumpkin Fest or the Arts and Crafts Festival. We're involved in a lot of those things at the Arts Council, so I guess that feels definitive to me. I don't know, just a lot of fun things. Is that okay?
I don't know. That's great. There are a lot of fun things. I was from the area, but not from this area. It depends on who you ask if I'm local. Because I grew up a little south.
Did I ask you a bunch of questions and like?
Yeah, before me.
No, really. Like sometimes I do. I can tell who was born and raised here versus who moved here when they say, "Oh yes, no, you are from here," or "Yeah, no, you're not." But I do like things like Pumpkin Fest. I remember coming out here and being like, "You roll what? What, you roll pumpkins on it?" But then you experience it and you're like, no, I really get it. This is the greatest place of all time.
I participated in Pumpkin Fest as a kid before it was Pumpkin Fest, and that was, we would steal pumpkins and roll them down the town hill and hope to not get caught. So I think the origins of Pumpkin Fest, not me, it was going on well before me, but yeah.
So the late Dr. Dan Yates has a great couple of history books on our area, and one of them he talks about how kids would go sledding down that hill, and they would be kids who grew up maybe in the farm parts of Montague further out, and they would hitch a ride on a tractor or that maybe didn't know that they were there, and they would get into town, and if they couldn't get a ride back, they would have to walk back or just figure it out because no one knew that they came down. They just latched on to a ride.
Yeah, it's funny.
And now we have Pumpkin Fest.
One other thing that like came to mind as we were talking, I've lived in not big cities, but bigger towns, I guess, and I think what makes this space unique is that it's small and that you get people coming out to these events year after year, and it's something that they look forward to. Yeah.
What changes have you seen in the business climate in expectations, customer behavior, and community engagement?
I mean, I think COVID was maybe one of the bigger shifts, and it wasn't just small towns, it was everywhere. I mean, you saw a shift to remote work. You saw people coming into places like ours because they were small, they weren't packed, and they could work kind of wherever they wanted. So, I mean, I think I've seen a bit of a shift with that. As businesses have kind of tried to navigate the work from home and hybrid, and I think the big push that you thought you might see with a lot of people moving to smaller towns is kind of simmered out a little bit, but just new blood. I think you see we saw newer people and people from different locations come, but also, having lived here as a kid and then coming back as an adult, people here don't notice the change. It's like, I always joke, like, as you get older and you start to gray and you don't realize how old you actually look until you look at a picture of you from 10 years ago. I feel the same way about the town, right? Like, people here don't think it's changed that much, but having lived here as a kid and then coming back, it's kind of a shock sometimes to see how it's just changed and how it's different. But then there's still those anchor things that are still the same, right? We still have the weather bank. It's not where it was when I was a kid, but we still have it, right? So those types of things. But does that answer your question?
It does.
All right, good.
Thanks, Brent.
Yeah, no problem.
So where are we seeing momentum or growth, whether in small businesses, in tourism, nonprofit work?
I think we're seeing growth in tourism, and I from a Arts Council perspective, I do feel like we have a little bit of momentum right now, us personally, and I hope that's reflected in the broader community. Arts and culture, I think, and I might be in a bit of a silo, but I do feel like we're starting to teach people about the impact of that, not just like for your own well-being, but also for the economy and for, keeping your employees in the area because you have all of these arts and culture opportunities.
Yeah, I would segue off that and say I completely agree. I don't think we see it as a business community. We actually, for a small town, are really well represented with art galleries and live music and just the things that we have a chamber music festival every like that. There's not many towns that are 5,000, and I'm combining Montague and Whitehall now. There are 5,000 people that you have some of what you do. Other things that I see, our downtown areas are really becoming cool and vibrant. When I was a kid, you didn't really spend a lot of time downtown. And like the addition of North Grove and Fetch and the social district stuff and just some cool community spaces, Sledding Hills. I think that those are all things that I think are growing and changing and really bring kind of some uniqueness and dynamic stuff to our town. So.
One thing we hear from tourists all summer long and fall, but also from people who live in Muskegon and just come up here, one thing we hear again and again is how our downtowns are so walkable. And that's so important. You really can just pick a place to park. And on a warm day, you can even park at the chamber, park at the bike trailhead, and walk both downtowns because of that bike path. And that's so unique. That's a good connector too for people to on foot be able to see both downtowns.
Our HR person, Suzanne, came to do our open enrollment training, and she parked in West Colby and called me and was kind of in a panic. And I'm like, well, the good thing is West Colby is not very far from East Colby. And I said, and so then I just looked out the door and she's walking down the street. So
What challenges are most relevant to the White Lake businesses today? Workforce, regulations, seasonality, infrastructure, anything else?
I mean, I come back to the seasonality side of it as, somewhat connected to North Grove Brewers. I know they see it a lot. It's like you've got to do all this business in the summer so you can make it through the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would also say mindset's a challenge for us. And what I mean by that is, having grown up here, there's just I don't even know how to say this without there is a stubbornness and a resistance to maybe change sometimes. And I think you absolutely have to be balanced with that. You don't want to turn into just a blatant tourist town, like Gulf Shores, right? That isn't necessarily, I think, healthy for our community where we want to go, but change is okay and it's inevitable and it's going to happen. So I think there's a little bit of that, right? You get some local people that maybe are a little curmudgeonly, and for lack of a better word, and this isn't how it was. That it's not, but it doesn't make it bad. It makes it different. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And you hit on a little bit with the seasonality of it. One thing when we hear it, we don't hear a lot of negative feedback on tourism, but we do hear it a little bit from our locals. And one of the things I try to remind them, we try to educate people and say, look, when it's so packed at your favorite restaurant or your favorite store during the summer, that's so that you can enjoy it all year.
Yeah.
Because if it's not packed in the summer, you don't have it 6 months of the year. And it's very important that you remember that if you have to wait a little bit longer, and I know turning left is harder in the summer.
And that always cracks me, having lived in a bigger areas, kind of like you. I mean, my commute to work on the east side of the state was about 6 miles and took me about 35 minutes. And it just cracks me up. And you catch yourself. I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm stuck. I can't make a left by Napa because the traffic, but you're right. It's goofy. So
I sat through the light at Mears and Colby yesterday twice. I had to wait to turn left, and I was like, this traffic jam is insane. So yes.
Yeah.
If you imagine White Lake's business scene 5 or 10 years out, what do you hope that it looks like?
Dynamic, diverse, I mean, thriving. I guess all the above. I don't know. And I'd love to see just a really good mix of retail and service-based businesses and manufacturing and healthcare, just a more melting pot of that. If I think about Whitehall specifically, we have some open buildings and some open locations. I'd like to see those filled. So yeah, and then more of what we're doing. I mean, I think we do have some good things going on, just more of that.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think of like even more vibrant downtown. Like now that we have this one mural, I'm like, we've got all these other opportunities for
Erin's
great
gonna be busy
murals
with grant
and
writing.
But yeah, just more vibrant and more people out and about walking around, checking out the businesses.
Where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth, whether culturally, economically, or collaboration even?
I would love to see, I mean, we have some good manufacturing businesses, Viking Tool, Urban Machine, Highlight. We have some good, I think we have an opportunity as a small town to pull even more of those in, which then helps with population. I think it all kind of works hand in hand, though. People want to live in a place that has options and things to do. Now, our lake is a wonderful pull, but there needs to be good places to eat and cool things to do and festivals and maritime. I plugged it, Stephanie. And things like that. And so I think that there's an opportunity to pull some of those in and get those people to live here. Housing is also it's an issue everywhere, but I'm trying to make sure that there's opportunities here. So, yeah.
How can the chamber help? How can the chamber help position the community for long-term success or businesses?
I feel like you're doing that already with all the events that the chamber hosts and just the way that you communicate with and pull in the businesses and get them to be engaged in the community. I think that's great.
Yeah, I would agree. More of the same. I think you guys do an excellent job. I think you take, some of the planning stuff that we've done as a board and as a group to heart, and you want to do that. I think you're always looking for opportunities to bring businesses in. That might be the only thing that I would say, go find some manufacturers if you can and be our advocate. But you do that already. It's just more of that, I would say. So,
Thank you. No, but yeah. And one of the things we always ask people who do live here, because we get probably equal parts tourists and locals who come in all year, is if you could wave one and have one business here, what would it be? And we like to hear that feedback because truthfully, there's a book out there called 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. It's a really great book that honestly all of us I think would enjoy. But one of the questions asked is, rather than asking people, what do you want to see? You ask people, what do you leave town for? What are you leaving town that we don't have here? And that's a really good question to go, oh, okay, so that's what we need more of.
Yeah.
Great places to stay, I think, is always good. I mean, I think our Airbnb and our short-term rental market is booming. I think we have a lot of those, but some more hotels, more opportunities to stay here, I think would be good. I'd love to see more like the Weather Vane, something downtown, if possible. So that's something I would say if I could wave a wand.
I would say restaurants, which we've kind of touched on, but we go to Muskegon for those things often and have more of that here.
Which is always tough because now you're competing with other restaurants.
Turn back to the seasonal problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has the business community taught you?
Oh boy. Patience. I think in this, especially in this area, change happens a little bit slower. So sometimes I think in maybe other locations it would happen more quickly. So just being patient and consistent and trying to push for that. And it's hard sometimes not to get frustrated to say, hey, how can we get more murals? How can we do more things? and being patient with people too, right? Like there's a lot of people that have been here for a long time, and change is hard, and sometimes too much too quickly. We've got to ease into that somewhat as we go forward, but not back away from it completely, right?
Right, you got to be a little persistent sometimes.
Yeah, stubborn almost. Yeah. Persistence probably a better word.
Do you have any parting words? I guess anything you want to say, anything you wish people knew maybe about running a business or a nonprofit in the area, or just anything?
I'll let you go first, Erin.
I don't know. I mean, I think where you come down to Colby Street, you can see Brent and we are neighbors.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I always feel bad. Erin shovels her own sidewalk, and I hire somebody to do it, and so I always look out. I'm like, oh.
I have thought about asking you who you hire, but I kind of love doing it. It's like this Wisconsin pride. I ran my own business out of my home in Wisconsin for 4 years, so it was like, you got to shovel, you got to put that salt down, and I take great pride in doing that myself.
Seavers do it. Chad Seaver, S&S. They do a great job too. Okay. So I'll plug them anytime I can.
I still like doing it myself, but sometimes my board members are like, "Why? Why are you doing it?" It's like, well, manual labor. I'm not behind my desk for like 20 minutes. It's great.
I guess my parting thing from a business owner's perspective would be patronize your local businesses. Use them. I mean, I think overall, and then also be kind. I don't know how else to say it. Like, Erin mentioned this. There's a lot of local businesses who do a lot in this community to support people. And a lot of times when you're out there doing those things, you're kind of almost a target. And so be kind. I'm just thinking of if we're covering a game and a score is wrong, nobody did it on purpose, but also patronize those businesses. I think sometimes those businesses aren't going to be cheaper than a national chain, and that's because they can't. Right. But they will not be here if we don't use them and we don't, hire them and do those things. And I think that's something that's good too. I mean, and again, a lot of local businesses do a lot for the community and try to take care of things here, and so.
Yeah, especially as we're in the holiday season, to think about ways you can support a local business while you're doing your holiday shopping.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of places have gift cards, or lots of, the Arts Council has artwork from 39 local artists. There's lots of ways to shop small.
Yeah. I would also say that I'm going to put in maybe a little bit of an abrasive plug. If you're a local government or you're a school district or some of those things, it's very intriguing to maybe go outside to find somebody that's cheaper. We're here, right? So if you're looking at doing things, we're right here, and you can walk down here and talk to Erin and then come in and we can help. So there's some of that too, I think. But yeah, I love it here. So.
Yeah, me too.
It is the most magical place.
Yeah, it is pretty magical.
Work and vacation and play, and it's the best.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining us. If you're listening, go ahead and this is our 5th season. We have a ton of amazing history of just the businesses and organizations in our area, including CatchMark and the Arts Council, and a few dozen others. So go ahead and watch that on whitelake.org. It's been great. So thank you both.
Thank you, Stephanie.